been a while, and I admit that I've probably slacked off more than I should on the content creation side of things. But I've been doing a lot of things, and I've really been grinding at some other things. But something that I really wanted to try to focus on right now. It is December 31st, 2024, and I'm doing a year-end reflection, right? So this is a concept that is thrown around a lot on the internet, and I've spoken about doing it before. I've told myself I'm going to do it before, but I just never felt the urgency to actually do it. But this year's been a different year. It's been a year of growth for me. So I wanted to get down my thoughts on how the year went onto paper and really reflect on it. And so this video is going to be about the questions I'm asking myself about the year, the things I'm reflecting on, the different topics, that is. And then in a follow-up video, I will be posting how I am going to be attacking 2025 and my plan for that, and how I'm going to go about planning that. So I'm just gonna do some journaling. I got some piano jazz music to kind of sit with and think on. So I'm gonna get to join it, journaling this, and at the end I'll come back, and I will, at the end I'll come back and I'll kind of go through not completely what I reflected on topics wise, but more just the questions that I asked, so that anyone out there that's watching this is able to reflect on their own life and able to do the same for them. So I'll catch you back in a second. Looking over everything, and kind of doing my reflection. So I'll go ahead and share the questions that I used for mine. Also in the intro I said it's 12:31. I just had my mind on year end. It's 12:29. So just realized I did that, not sure why. But so the first question was just, how was the year? So for me it was a 6.5 out of 10. And that could be me being pessimistic, which I have a tendency of doing that, but I also feel like it's realistic based on the things I think about achieving and what I actually achieved, because I made a lot of progress, but I didn't do it quickly necessarily, and probably could have done more in the 365 days of the year. So what area did I grow the most? I feel like my emotional intelligence is where I grew the most. So that would be primarily from just beginning to have a lack of care for what other people think. One of the big quotes of the year for me was, why would I care about the opinions of people who I would never want to be like? Why would I care what they think about me, right? And also just being confident in who I am and where I am now and where I want to be, and confident in the process that takes. So next, just what went well. And for me, a big thing was just breaking out of my shell and beginning to focus on what I personally want to pursue, not allowing people to tell me what I should focus on and what I should pursue. So what went poorly and why? So for me, that was relationships with friends didn't go great this year. I'd say they kind of suffered compared to past years, and a lot of that has to do with me beginning to grow as a person and chase the things that I want to chase, because a lot of my friends are not in that same frame of mind, and so it's just kind of made me enter that lonely chapter that Hormozy and Chris Williamson talk about so much, where it's just you're growing out of your friendships from in place A, but you're not quite ready / leveled up enough to be in those friendships in place B. What lessons did I learn? First, fear of judgment is a self-inflicted illness. Nobody cares what you're doing. Nobody's watching you. Just do it. 2, choosing your own passion is the truest pursuit in life. So even though I am not overly successful yet, doing my own thing, the thrill I get from working on what I want to work on is something I haven't felt in a long time, since I played baseball in high school. So it's really just something that is incredible. It's an incredible feeling for me. Number 3, take the risk. You may fall flat, but at least you will know. So I've taken a lot of risk this year that in past years I probably wouldn't have been mature enough to take. But and they don't always work, but at least and at least you have taken the steps to where you will grow, right? What did I expect to complete that I didn't? CPA license, growing my personal brand, and also I expected to read more books. And are these still important? If so, how can I make a future follow up more likely? And I think that a lot of those goals for me they're just things that got pushed behind other goals, right? So as I've grown and learned priorities and what really moves the needle for me, I just think that those things have not that they're not important, but they're just more on the back burner right now, and things that I'll revisit down the line. And the way that I'll do that is just, once I'll put a priority in my task for my planning ahead for 2025, and I'll rank them, and so I'll try and knock them out, in that order, and then I will revisit them. How have my goals changed throughout the year? So at the beginning of the year, I just wanted to finish up school, do my CPA license, and start my job and start learning on that. But as I got to working, I realized that it's just not something for me. My true goal is to lead my own company. So my goal has shifted from wanting to enter into a job working for somebody else to rapidly transitioning to running my own company and growing on my own. So that's definitely where my goals have shifted, just because I just feel like that's where I'm going to grow the most, and that's where my life's going to be the most fulfilling, and ultimately that's just what I want to do. Where do I see things I can improve on? How do I go about improving? So first one is dedicating time. So for me, I have trouble setting time blocks to accomplish certain things. So I think just working on setting time blocks and sticking to those rather than setting them and being loose on them, maybe adding some sort of punishment in for myself if I don't follow through. 2, being consistent with my faith. So I did really good in the first 2 quarters of the year, but I kind of fell off in the latter half of the year just because I got really busy with work and other things, and I need to make sure that I keep it a priority. And so I'm going to do that by having dedicated Bible studies, whether it be independently or with friends. And also I think finding a home church in the new city that I moved to, I think could be very good for me in being consistent with my faith. So 3rd is just tax knowledge. I just need to learn more about tax, right, and doing accounting for businesses, just so that I can continue to master that and help people ultimately. And so I'm going to do that through finishing the Main Street Tax Program, also just reading. So whether that be publications, code, books written by other accountants, etc. just spending more time learning and on the subject, diving deeper into it. What things am I frequently doing that I'm willing to give up? Watching TV, some social life, attending and watching sporting events. So there was Hormozi put out a quote that when you're planning your next year, you need to put beside what you want to do, what you're willing to give up, because that way you're not just adding more hours to the day, which we can't do. You're purposefully choosing, hey, I'm going to do X over Y, right? So that's kind of what gave me the idea for that question. Those are just 3 things that I kind of identified. And once again, it goes back to the conversation about balance, which is a topic for another video. And then I just had some one-off questions. Best meal, steak and eggs. I eat that so many times a week. Favorite book, Psycho Cybernetics. It was the most pivotal book of the year. Best experience was hiking out west with my buddies during spring break while I was still in school. Favorite new music, house music. Been very into house music, and as of late, also I've really come on to piano music. So, favorite question, what would you try if you had no fear? That one's been a really big leading question for me in everything I do, just because it's, if I had no fear of failing, if I had no fear of judgment, what would I do? Because that's where you find your most authentic self. Favorite quotes, so I had 3. First, nothing changes if nothing changes. I think I've mentioned that on the channel before, but that's just, you can't wish for things to change if you're not willing to take action and make the change happen. 2, as a man thinketh, so is he. Your mind is powerful beyond belief. That's one thing I've learned this year. And 3, for what does a man profit if he gains the whole world but loses his soul in the process? So I'll end the video off with that. It's just, we're all working to improve, we're all working to build our own businesses, streams of income, but what do we gain if we get all the riches, all the glory in the world, but we lose our soul in the process, and we lose sight of what's really important and what we're really on this earth for? So those are the questions for how I'm doing my year-end review. How I did it took me about an hour just sitting here with myself, with my thoughts. So hope y'all enjoyed, hope y'all picked something up for y'all's year-end review, and I will begin to be working on my 2025 planning, and I'll have a YouTube video up for that shortly. So hope everyone had a great year. Hope y'all enjoy the content. Let's continue to push forward, push to new heights, and peace out, people.